All right, what is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of 10 Minute Poker Tips. I have a special guest today, Craig Tapscott, who is an editor and writer over at poker.org. He has a ton of experience in poker media and also other media in the background. So thank you for coming on, Craig.
No, thanks for inviting me. I'm working with you right now on a feature, right?
Yeah. I'm super excited to see that one come out.
I don't want to take away any credit from my editors at Poker.org and CardPlayer. I don't do any editing. We all need help. Even Stephen King gets edited. So I appreciate their help in helping me sound better. So I appreciate that.
All right, so first, how did you even get into poker media?
Real quick, I loved poker, played cards all my life, and had fun. But my background was sports nutrition. I did cards for fun. Moved to LA after I sold my nutrition company in Jersey. I came across all the card rooms here, right? So I sat down, started playing 7-card stud, 5-card stud. I had no idea what this 2-card game was off to the side. This is like 95, 96. So it intrigued me, and then I got following Pocket Fives and all the young guys. And then I pitched a story to CardPlayer, and they said, sure, kid, write it. And that began my journalistic career.
Nice. And, how's it been working in poker media?
Well, it's a lot of fun, especially, it's like if you love bodybuilding, another industry I've been in with sports nutrition, if you love the sport or really what I love is like, what do people think? What do they do to get in that fit? The why, right? So I was always fascinated about why are these players really good? So it intrigued me. It's not about just writing and being on the forefront of poker media. It's more about, well, what makes you good? How can I learn from you? How can I be a better player by asking the Bonomo's, Ruthless, all these junglemans, the young jungleman, how did you do this? What did you do? And the fun part was now and then getting invited up to a mansion somewhere in the hills of LA and seeing 6 guys behind big screens living together in like a $20,000 mansion, right? Splitting the rent and learning from each other. So that was really cool experience.
So speaking of that, what are some of the biggest names that you've gone to interact with because you're working in poker media?
It's got it hard to. I've worked with hundreds of players, but all you can name I work with. Tom Dwan is a little more elusive than others. Joey's been great to get him. Phil Ivey also kind of elusive,
Nice.
but most anybody else I've worked with over the last 20 years, and most of them are amazing. My most recent interview was with Chris Moneymaker. This last year, I've done a podcast every month for Poker.org called The Interview, and I've grabbed Helmuth, Negreanu, Maria Ho, Luc Bourret, people like that, the top icons in the industry, and I grabbed Chris. I've always loved working with Chris. He's no bullshit. He cuts to the chase. He doesn't say, don't ask me about this. And I asked him about some tough questions that's going on, right? And you can see in the article about the bots, about the decisions there, about the ACR stuff with GTO Wizard, those kind of things. And he told me like it was. So I love working with Chris, and that feature comes out in a couple days.
Yeah, and also since you've been in it for so long, I guess you've actually watched Chris Moneymaker and these guys just journey all the way from back in the mid 2000s till now, and how much the game has evolved. I bet that's been pretty amazing.
Yeah, well, I started writing in 2006 for CardPlayer, and I watched Chris. All of us watched Chris on ESPN, and I'm doing an article right now with Joey Ingram, and he talks about, you ruined my dream, man, ESPN, and Chris Moneymaker dream that he was promised, but with all that's going on online these days, a lot of these guys don't want to play online anymore. Who knows really going on behind the scenes. Hopefully the sites will clean it up, and it'll be a better place to play. And I assume you play online too.
Yeah, what's interesting is I was playing online a lot, but then I stopped playing ACR recently, and it's really hard to get any legit sites. I'm here in California, but I do love when I get to Vegas in the summer and also WPT in the winter. I actually get to play on WSOP.com.
Well, you need to go take Doug Polk's money over WPT Gold.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know what? I actually a little bit of a heads-up expert, so maybe I can go challenge him a little bit.
Go get him. Frankie did pretty well. I think Frankie, who's a friend, won against him, right? At the law.
Oh, yeah.
I'm hoping Frankie will take down Dan Negreanu. Let's see.
For all the aspiring poker players out there and some of them that aren't getting covered by different media organizations, what tips do you have for them to try to get covered? What type of things do you look out for? What things tend to be newsworthy to you?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I do my best. It's difficult the past few years. There's so much poker stuff out there. And I avoided poker social media for 15, 16 years. I think I've been on Twitter for 3 years. I could care less. I didn't want to be in the forefront, interviewed people, got strategy questions for them, mostly strategy for CardPlayer. But usually I go after the controversial things or big winners because that's what a lot of these sites and the news sites want, right? But also be aggressive. Approach me. I mean, a quick story is Faraz was coming up. I really love Faraz Jaka.
Yeah.
And oncoming online player, and then he played at Bellagio, lost all his money, started again. I knew he was doing well in some tournaments, and it's been a long time, like 10 or 15 years ago, and WPT, if you remember, he won the Player of the Year. Before he won, though, he came up to me at Commerce, and said, "You need to do a cover story on me."
Oh,
Wow, I've never had a player say, "Do a cover story on me." And he was right. He went on to win the Player of the Year that year. And I pitched him, and they said, "Wait till he wins something big."
yeah.
Now, he won nothing from the WTA year, but he did so many deep finishes, he won Player of the Year. So I liked that cojones, or whatever you want to call it, that he had to approach me and say, "Hey, do a cover story on me." So I just be aggressive. Email me, "Hey, I got a good hand I played. Let's talk about them." Or, "You got some tips. I'm doing pro tips right now with Poker.org." So Eric Baldwin's a friend, and he did some for it. Alex Fitzgerald has been a longtime friend. He's a very prolific coach, right? And I'm going to work with Andrew Moreno and others. Ari Engel I've talked to. So those guys are very easy to talk to, and they respond to me quickly, don't put me off. It's rare. Maybe one or two players over the last 20 years have actually said, "I'm not interested."
Oh.
Because I remember back in the day when you got press, maybe you got a PokerStars ambassadorship or a Full Tilt, whatever it might have been.
Yeah.
The more aggressive and out in the front in the press you are, the more chance of maybe getting one of those gigs, right?
Yeah, I always respect people that have high privacy walls for things, but definitely a lot of opportunities come from just getting yourself presented out there. And it's also great for the community, right? To see their peers doing well and getting stories like that. It does feel a little bit like maybe you are after more results driven things, maybe big scores in tournaments, but do you ever look at other things like maybe for cash game players or maybe like personalities, or is it mostly just like, hey, big score, you get covered?
I don't really look for big scores, but that's what some of the platforms want, right?
I see.
Because, the Jungle Man winning, the championship 2 years in a row in WSOP is a big thing.
Yeah.
But I tend to look for interesting stories, whether it be happening in Hustler, going, "Wow, you're going to ban Garrett Adelstein from playing."
Right.
I look at what's not just drama, but it's interesting, because Poker.org's more geared towards what's going on with the players.
Yeah.
And I created a column years ago on CardPlayer called Head Game, because I asked 3 star players one question, and I would get 3 different answers. So that was really interesting. You can approach it differently, right? My background is passion for nutrition and fitness and all that. I always was curious of what kept players in shape. Back in the day, you didn't have players doing what they do. It looked like Jason Kuhn, or these guys who are really fit, Steven Chidwick, Andrew Lichtenberger. Those guys are fit, climb, rock climb and stuff.
Right.
I know this translates over to playing better at the tables when you're fit, because your mind's going to work better if your body works better, and vice versa, right?
Right.
I love doing all kinds of stories, whatever intrigues me about the game and about life.
What are the most interesting stories, well, without giving the scoop, before you actually release them? What kind of interesting coverage do you have coming up?
Wow. I had a great interview with Joey. I mean, he's like the Joe Rogan of poker in that he doesn't pull any punches either.
Yeah.
I really like Joey and just say it like it is. So we're going to talk about, should GTO Wizard have a delay? How do you feel about that? Because he's on GTO Wizard a lot, uses it for tournaments, and he doesn't play online that much anymore, but he uses it, for his own benefit. Coming up, I've got Chris Moneymaker drops bomb. And really, he does. He said, "I would fire them both."
I saw that. That was wild. Yeah.
And I said, "Chris, this is a headline they want to use." Sometimes I'm not the best with headlines, but our team is. And I said, "Is that okay with you? Because I don't want you to get pissed off, because it's not clickbait, because it's actually what he said."
Yeah.
It's in the column. So he said, "No, man, just go with it. It's fine." So
that's awesome.
But that's just Chris.
Yeah.
And but he talks about so much more. So I'm excited to have that come out. But you're going to have to kind of listen to it in your car, because it's a 2-hour thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no worry. The poker community is always hungry for poker content, but that's absolutely the type of content that people are after. So I think you're spot on with it.
I'm not going to give. There's one I really want to talk about that I can't talk about, but it'll come out in the next week or so. I've been planning it for a long time. Been working on a couple of projects behind the scenes. I don't care about awards, but I kind of want to do. My goal has always been to be a positive force in poker.
Yeah.
My background is also studying metaphysics, yoga, meditation, those things that enrich a person's life. So it's always been one of my passions. So if I can bring that kind of mindset to poker and be sarcastic and funny and pick on people on that like they pick on me, at the same time not turning into a war, being mean to someone,
Right.
We can all get along. There's so many cool people in poker. And for the most part, every player I've worked with has been so gracious with their time, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a fine line between like needling and then being abusive.
No, I agree. And you're a class act at the tables.
Thank you.
I know you've been really on a great momentum watching you and following your socials and watching your LA Poker Roundup. But there's a lot going on in LA.
Yeah.
So a lot of cool places here. I've been doing commentary at Bally's, getting better and better at it. I mean, my background also is acting. I was an actor and director for many years.
Oh, Oh,
stage.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to be. It didn't turn out that way, and I got tired of being poor in New York City, right? So I started a nutrition company, but acting is still in my blood. So I've been in front of the camera a lot. The first thing I did for Fox Sports was they took me to the World Series. I was so nervous. We'll take you down. They've been writing articles. Let's get some stuff on camera. Back in the day when you had a full tilt room, you had a party poker room. Remember that? I don't know if you were there.
No.
2007, 2008. You're probably like 6 years old. Okay. So
No, I'm a lot older than you think.
So they have these rooms, and it was kind of cool. And PokerStars had all this swag, and so I went there. And we want you to interview Gus Hansen and all these people, and they sort of knew me because of CardPlayer stuff. But I was so nervous, talking to Gus and those guys back in the day. But I got better on camera, so it's fun. And Bally's has been nothing but gracious in allowing me to come on. And I love Wayne over there. He takes care of the players. He really has a great mindset about taking care of people, and I hope that grows for people because it's a beautiful space.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Wayne's fantastic. So Craig, this was amazing. Learned so much from you about the media. Awesome hearing about your background as well. I will hope to see you at the WSOP circuit here at the Commerce in May, and then also WSOP in the summer, right?
I'll be there. I'll catch you. But you and I got stuff coming out too. Don't tell anybody. But I look forward to be the WSOP. It's always fun. And watching Jessica win last year.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Watching. She's a really cool, interesting person too.
Yeah, especially with all the stuff that she kind of goes through on a day-to-day basis. It was actually inspiring to see her punch her way through.
Yeah, to conquer that. But I really appreciate you inviting me on. And thanks. Have a great day, man.